Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Monday, September 21st Monroe Town Board meeting. I'm Harley Doles, supervisor for the town. To my immediate right are Councilman Dan Burke, Councilman Dennis Waters, Town Attorney Peter Tillum, and our Town Clerk Mary Ellen Beams. And then to my immediate left, our Comptroller, Dr. Peter Martin. First, before I begin, I want to thank Dr. Martin for the budget the other day. We had our first budget session, and he did a heck of a good job explaining the budget. You'll see it on TV. I think it's available online as well, and we'll probably have another presentation during one of the regular board meetings to familiarize those people who don't have access to either to the web or to Channel 22, and that might be attending this board meeting, or the board meetings. We have a approval of minutes for August 10th. These are holdover meetings.
Harley, can I go through the minutes?
Yeah, please do
because
that.
we're going to do some changes here. Okay. The 10th and 17th, we're going to hold over to this coming Monday. There are some questions, some corrections and some questions on the 10th and 17th. I'm asking for approval for August 27th, 31st, and September 16th, and all three of you were there. So if I could get an approval for those minutes.
I'll make the motion.
Was it the 16th?
Second.
Any discussion? That being said, call the question.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, then, so for Monday night, there will be the set of minutes of the 10th, August 10th, 17th, the 20th, which was the public meeting for the Etzkayim. The transcript and the minutes will be ready for September 8th by Monday. And there is a set of minutes for March 10th that was never approved, and when a resident asked them for me, they were seen, but we cannot find them. So I am working on them right now, and they will be up for approval also on Monday night.
Okay. So we're going to...
So that's the schedule. So you've approved the ones that are up for approval, and then the remainder, 4 will be up for Monday night.
Okay, thank you, Mary Ellen. Under upcoming meetings and dates and general announcements, we have a couple of things. One, on Wednesday, we will be showing here in Theater 6 continuously from 12 o'clock on Paddington Bears. That was a movie that was released a couple of months ago. It'll be at $1. At $1 for general admission for all the residents in the town of Monroe. So the kids are off. It'll be $1 for the movies, as well as we're going to be showing, starting at 1 o'clock, the other movies, the Scorched, does anyone remember the name of this? Scorched Trials? Scorched Trials. That'll be at $6. So for those parents who would like... Maze Runner. Maze Runner, Scorched Trials. That'll be at 1 o'clock, and that'll be continuous. That'll be at $6 for the residents of the town of Monroe, as well as $1 for the general admissions for Paddington Bear, and that'll be from 12 o'clock on. So if the kids are out of school and they need a place, you want them to go somewhere that's safe and warm and entertaining, they can come here.
Let me drop it off to you.
It's not even on the agenda.
Friday off before.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you can keep your voices down, we're going to try to continue this going quickly, but not too quickly so that we can't hear what's going on. But your cooperation is expected and certainly appreciated. We have under September, we have a ZBA meeting at 7:30. We have another scheduled town board meeting on the 28th. We have on October, we have the town board meeting on the 5th, planning on the 7th. Columbus Day we're closed, on planning on the 13th. There's going to be an open house for Eights-Heim. For the purpose, they are inviting the public to come and visit the Eights-Heim for the purpose of repurposing as a potential new Monroe Town Center. It seems as though in the last couple of weeks, folks at Eights-Heim and members of the community from various areas have achieved a little bit more of an understanding of what they might look forward to, and the ATIME is going to be holding an open house on Sunday, October 4th, from 2 o'clock to 4 p.m. Refreshments and cookies will be served, and if there's any more information, I guess you can go to the town website and get it from them, or you can call ATIME directly. We have a resolution to pay the bills. Need a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Call the question?
Aye.
We have a request, budgetary transfers and amendments from the comptroller. This is a transfer request from A000-1990-0000-00 contingency to line A000-1410-4120-00 records management. This will fund records shredding at town hall. Need a motion for that?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we transfer $1,700 from contingency to records management.
Okay. Any discussion? Call the question.
Need a second.
Need a second, Dennis?
Second.
Any discussion? Call the question.
Aye.
Aye.
Need a transfer from A000-1990-0000-008 fund contingency to A000-1220-4110-00 employee hiring expense. This will fund background checks and ID cards.
I'll make a motion we transfer $750 from A fund contingency to employee hiring expense.
I'll second for discussion.
Um,
Question for the controller. We get to see the A fund contingency quite frequently. Is there any money actually left in it?
Yes, there is. If there wasn't, I wouldn't ask for a transfer.
I understand that. I think the public probably wants to know.
We will be down to about $10,000 in contingency in the A fund
Thank you.
at the end of the evening.
Call the question.
Aye.
Aye.
Transfer $1,300 from A000-1990-0000-008 fund contingency to A000-8035-4140-00 codification. This will fund the E-code maintenance fee. The E-code is the online book. The online book which has the laws for the town of Monroe. It's an annual.
I'll make a motion we transfer $1,300 from A fund contingency to codification.
I'll second for discussion.
Yeah, what is that?
Maybe it's me, but ever since we went on this new website, I've never been able to find the town code. So thank goodness I'm still carrying the town code book around with me. Am I
Dennis,
missing something?
it's on the front page in the box. You'll find it there, and it comes up E-code. You click on the first box.
It's not under documents or anything like that.
You also go into, I gotta work
Okay,
it.
if it's there, I'll
But
find
it-
it,
I-
but I searched.
I will
before.
show you at the end of the meeting how to find it.
Okay, and while we're talking about it, E-code maintenance, who does that?
That's the company does it. The company does it.
General Code Publishers.
General Code Publishing.
Right.
All right, thank you, Beryl.
And it's produced in a hard copy form and then online.
Okay.
Call the question.
Aye.
Aye.
This is a B fund appropriation. Remember, this A fund is townwide. This is a absolutely B fund fund balance transfer request to increase the budget for B000-1480 4500-00 public information and services. This will fund the media consultant who was retained on 8/17/15.
I'll make a motion, we appropriate $5,000 from B fund balance to public information and services.
We need a second for discussion.
Second.
Discussion. This is essentially, we've retained a consultant to help get the word out on why the board has some of the policies, some of the votes, some of the issues that have been somehow put forth on one end and yet need to be addressed on other end, and making sure that we have the resources to be able to do it. It's something which the public needs. Excuse me. If you call out, you're going to, one more call out, you will be asked to leave. There won't be a second warning. Okay? All right. That being said, we need a motion, we need a call the question?
Aye.
Aye. Appropriation of $5,000 from B fund balance again to increase the budget for B000-1480-1020-00, public information and service personnel services. This will fund the deputy town clerk who was appointed on 8/17/15. This position is funded equally by the town clerk and the public information services. We need a motion for that?
Yeah, I'll make a motion, we appropriate $5,000 from B fund balance to public information and services, personal services.
Second.
Any discussion?
This is the motion we made on the 17th to expand her duties, and we're very happy with her production.
Call the question.
Aye.
Appropriate, Peter, you can answer this,
Yes.
discuss this. Appropriate $50,000 from the B fund balance to increase the budget for SW14 pump house repairs. This loan to SW14 will fund the purchase and installation of the pump house structure as required by Orange County Department of Health. Peter, before we ask for a motion.
I'll make a motion, we appropriate $50,000 from B fund balance to Water District 14's pump house repairs.
Second.
Peter, you want to discuss?
Okay.
This?
There's an engineering report that you've all had in front of you for the last 2 months approximately for the work that needs to be done in Water District 14 following the catastrophic failure of the 2 tanks at that well site. You've appropriated money to buy the tanks. They were ordered. They are on delivery. A cashier's check was issued to the company, and the tanks will be here before the end of the month. The tanks have to reside inside a structure, which will be a heated structure, because Orange County no longer allows tanks to be buried, for water plants to be buried. So we need to make the next step, which is get the housing as designed by the engineer ordered. It's a prefab unit and has to come and be installed, and that's what the $50,000 is for. And I stress that this is a loan to that district.
Okay.
Question.
Sure.
The issue of the tanks came up a couple of months back, quite a few months back, actually. At that time, we talked about borrowing tanks from Water District number 12 to use on a temporary basis.
That's been done, yes.
For 14. That has been done?
Yes.
Have we done any kind of an interfund transfer to compensate Water District 12 for
No,
lending
you
these
could
tanks?
you could propose that. The tank that we are using temporarily could not have been installed in 12 at the time anyway, so it was sitting there. Essentially, it was sitting there idle, but it will be going back to Water District 12 before the snow flies, and we have a public hearing coming up to borrow the money from Water District 12 to move forward and get that tank installed this fall.
In the meantime, they're renting it in District 14.
Well,
Should be compensated in some fair amount anyway.
Okay. We can figure out
Can
a
we
price.
direct
Yeah, we'll figure out a price on them.
Yeah. With the board's permission, may we direct the comptroller to come up with an amount that's...
I'll talk to the councilman and we'll come up with a number.
Sounds good.
That being said...
Sounds fair.
Call the question?
Aye.
Aye.
Next one, this is a large one. This is the appropriate $350,000. This is a B fund balance to increase the budget for attorney fees and annexation issues. This will help pay for the anticipated attorney fees due to various annexation lawsuits. Gentlemen, you need a motion for it for discussion?
Yeah, of course, this is the hardest one of all. I make a motion that we appropriate $350,000 of B fund balance to increase the budget for attorney's fees, annexation issues.
We need segment discussion.
Regarding.
Regarding,
Question for the controller. What is this going, what's the impact, or what I should say is, what's the total amount will now be in the attorney fees annexation issue account, once this is moved? I know we had made a couple motions earlier.
Yeah, but
on.
we've basically spent that line down. So we have about, I think we have something around maybe $5,000. I'll look at it, I'll give you the right number.
Peter, I'm not sure that you're aware of it, and maybe the board isn't. I received a copy of the resolution this afternoon from Peter Tillum, from our town attorney, that was sent from Mike Donnelly regarding the resolution that was passed by the county. That particular one that calls for, I guess this is the larger of the requests, calls for $200,000 from the county.
I believe that there were a couple municipalities that came up with a combined $400,000.
Right. However, as I was reading it and I'm looking, the town of Monroe is not named in it. It's only the village of Kirs Joel.
I believe that's true.
And therefore, this money, at this point, based on that resolution, we have no, it's not going to go towards any kind of litigation because we're not named in this process yet.
As of yet, right.
So we're looking at the other one, the one that we voted no on, has the potential that the village of Kirs Joel will sue the town of Monroe, or the petitioners may sue the town of Monroe. But this particular, it seems as though it's broken into three potential forms of litigation. One which we're not a party to at this point.
At this point, right.
Two, one from Kirs Joel, which we
Or the
assume is going to happen.
Right.
And then three from the petitioners of the 507.
Right.
Am I doing this correctly? Board, I just wanted you to mention it to you because I received it sometime in the late afternoon. If you want to hold off on it and read it, please do, but it was the last paragraph that was the most informative, because it did not name the town of Monroe as a party to these, to the resolution.
It seems to me that with certainty, we're going to be involved in litigation from either KJ or the petitioners or both on the 507. Because as a matter of law, when we voted no and they voted yes, there's a dispute that has to be resolved between the two municipalities, and that's resolved in the appellate court after the appointment of 3 special referees, who are usually retired judges, to basically hear and determine what's in the best interest of the area. So that for sure is going to be impending litigation. And then it would also seem that we're likely to be drawn into some other litigation.
Okay, and the annexation attorney is, for the record, that's Mike Donnelly?
That's Mike Donnelly. Although I don't know if we've discussed who's going to be handling the litigation.
Okay.
If I could answer Councilman's question, the balance right now in that line is negative. It's minus $1,644.
Gentlemen, call the question.
Aye.
Dennis?
Nay.
Nay. Motion doesn't pass, we don't have 3. We have an approval for the supervisor to sign the snow and ice agreement. This is for the, this is for Harriman Heights Road and Westmont Bayshore Road. County Road number 71 and County Road 91 at a rate per mile of $4,750. Total is $27,407.50. Actually, I'm glad that Highway Superintendent is here. Tony, do you have this in front?
Oh, no.
This is from,
It's the new county contract.
I have an extra copy.
You've seen it,
I
right?
have an extra copy.
You've seen the copy.
Yeah, I've seen the copy.
okay. This is for the snow and ice removal for those two county roads, the 2015-2016 season. My understanding is that when I spoke with, a while back with the county exec, his response was sometimes you make, sometimes you lose on this, depends on the year. Last year, we probably would have lost money on it because of the amount of snow and ice that there was. This year might be different, but it's part science and part hit and miss.
That's correct. I have the figures on that if you'd like, if anybody would like to see them for last year's snow and ice removal.
Sure. Gentlemen?
Sure, we could listen, sure.
No, I have the figures here on paper.
Oh, okay.
Are you comfortable with the amount, the per mile charge?
Well, that would be up to the town board if they want to take that contract on or not.
However, you're the one who administers.
We provide the service, but the board has to apply their opinion and also the dollar value.
We would agree, but in terms of the cost per mile, you're the person who would look and say, within reasonable parameters, the $27,000 for the 5.77 miles of linear road, however that's referred to as, represents something which the town,
Center lane miles.
center lane miles, something which the town, based on that kind of road, those roads, would
Right.
be worthwhile pursuing.
Just what you said prior, it depends on the winter, it depends on how much snow we get, and how much ice.
Do we have to make a motion on this?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's going to require, I think, the supervisor's signature as well, so.
Sure. I'll make a motion that we authorize the supervisor to sign the snow and ice agreement with Orange County.
We need a second for discussion.
Second for discussion. I believe the superintendent, you mentioned you had these numbers somewhere?
I'm sorry?
The actual numbers that you expended on these two highways last?
Not on the two, just in general.
Could you get us something specific so we can vote on this on Monday?
If you like.
I would very much like that. I don't know whether 4750 is a good number or not. The mileage
47.
I know hasn't changed because the roads are the same.
Well, the only reason why 2750, I believe it is,
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. It's $4,750
per mile.
Per mile.
Rate per mile.
Oh, I'm talking about the total.
27,400.
Again, we travel the roads anyway to get from point A to point B and
That
C.
was my question.
You know, is it cost effective? It has to be broken down.
Could you break it down for next Monday's meeting?
Yeah, I can have that done.
Thank you.
Now, the public should know that we're talking about Harriman Heights Road and West Monbassia Road. And Harriman Heights, it's 2.01 miles, and West Monbassia is 3.76 miles. And the rate that the county is offering is $4,750 per mile, and the total of this contract would be $27,407.50. So we have a motion, we could table it until, I made that motion, I'll table it until next Monday.
Secondarily, we've also been presented with a potential road contract with the Village of Curious Joel. So my interest is not just on these county roads, but I want to know if that is a good functioning number per mile that could be applied in a contract with KJ. I'll tell you right now,
No.
at the moment, I'm not very interested in a contract with KJ. I believe if they apply for a couple of grants, they can probably have a DPW up and operating in about 2 months.
Give them shovels.
So in the meantime, I would like to know that number.
What's the cost?
We do have to go with a contract. I want to make sure it's fairly priced.
What's the per mile cost in that county contract? 4.7?
4,000?
27 and change.
$4,750, $27,407 total.
27.
Yeah, regarding the KJ road contract, I'm pretty sure it expired July 1st.
Yes, June
Right,
1st.
so, and there's a draft contract that our comptroller's looking at. He's going over the numbers. He gave us some preliminary numbers. I guess we're gonna have a thorough discussion, probably next Monday. We'll see what we can put together between now and then, but the advantage to the Village of KJ is that they don't have to have a DPW and buy the trucks and hire the people and all that. The advantage to the town, the advantage, please folks, please. Right. The advantage to the town of Monroe is that they give us, I think it's $250,000, which is approximately the cost of 2 employees. So now if our highway budget goes down by that amount, we've got to look at maybe cut a couple of people, which would make it more difficult to take care of everything. But the numbers, the public should get a good look at the KJ contract, see what the numbers are, see what it costs us to provide those services, find out to your own satisfaction and to mine that contract is fair to us here in the town of Monroe and to our other citizens of the town of Monroe in Curious Joel. So this is going to be a public discussion. Everybody's going to see the numbers, and everybody's going to get their opinion in. All right. So this is not something we rush through late at night or anything like that. This is a public document that everybody's going to have a look at, and we board members will make sure of that.
I feel much better.
The potential contract that was passed around was very interesting, but let me caution about one thing. There has been an annexation of 164 acres that has been passed by this board. The contract itself needs to assume that and predict how many roads and what roads will be constructed within that area, the 164, within the next 12 months of our contract period. I want to make sure that's covered and we get compensated for that, because you know those roads will be in before the end of the year. And that's why when I responded to the email about, here's the contract, I said, not so fast. We got a lot of talking to do. Thank you.
The current center lane miles in KJ right now is 9.
9
miles.
Right, however,
So for your comparison of the number, you can work with the 9 miles.
however, let me, and I've been out there, and it's a indirect, it's not a fair comparison in many ways. You have narrow roads, you have roads that we've been out in, that you can't have a large plow, you have smaller trucks that do the work, you have tight culverts, you have tight turnarounds. It's a much different type of phenomena than it is plowing Harriman Heights and West Monbassia. So we've seen all these roads, the ones at KJ, the ones at Harriman Heights, so all can't fairly compare the two, am I correct?
Yeah,
Superintendent?
what it is, again, I didn't get a copy of the contract, which I'd like to, but I did a cost comparison with other villages with the same mileage, center lane miles, and the numbers are way off.
Comparison on which end?
Comparison in not now favor
For which?
for plowing and salting.
And just, again, when you give us, at the request of Councilman McWaters, when you supply the information, if you can supply that information as well.
That's
from
correct.
the municipalities.
And if there's a copy of that contract, I'd like to review it because my signature goes on it.
Two things. When we discuss the KJ contract, all the figures will be here in front of us. So, and the highway superintendent will also see what they are, and you know, he'll give his overview. In regard to the annexation,
Gentlemen, we're on, in all fairness, let me interrupt.
Yes.
We're on this. This is the issue right now.
Yeah.
KG contract is a secondary, Councilman McWhorter's brought it up. If you want to, let's just, we're tabling
Okay.
this until the next,
it's just that there's an intense
you-
interest in it. I just want to point out that the new roads, if that annexation goes through, if some court doesn't turn it down, or it won't be in this contract. This contract will be for the whatever miles of road, and that's closed. If there's more roads to be added to it, they don't get it for the same price. You know, that has to be negotiated. Anyway, yes, we should have a thorough, informed discussion on this. Not this is kind of speculative.
moving on.
And now, where did we leave off? We were talking about snow and ice, so we voted that
We're
down.
tabling, we're on the new business
Oh,
right now.
okay.
This is a request for the town hall records are being returned by Polygon, and we need a temporary storage area for the records. I believe Mary Ellen had mentioned a particular company to be able to get a bid out for.
I did look into Iron Mountain. It's 36 miles away. They will not disclose where unless we sign a contract with them. Approximately 672 boxes are out in Pennsylvania right now and would be coming back. They quoted me a price of $595 a month to store the records. The only thing is that I'm really not comfortable with is that if I need records to be retrieved, which we do, I'm not the one who's allowed to go in and get them. That the employees of Iron Mountain go in and get them. I have to give them a day's notice. They have to pull them, and they can overnight them to me, or I can come up and pick them up. So I really hope there's some other choices than Iron Mountain, which I'm not finding any. Obviously, the town hall is not ready for the records to come back to. I don't know, I'm looking for direction from the board. The insurance company paid $94,000 to clean these records, and we can't bring them home and put them in a pod in the parking lot. They need to go into controlled, area with heat, air conditioning, ventilation, or everything we just went through is, going to be undone. So we have a little time because, we're maybe 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out for them coming back. I'm open to suggestions, but just, God bless you. Please, be aware that we really have to take a careful look at this, where we're going to put them. I mean, I don't know them. But if they have to go to Iron Mountain, they have to go there, but it's definitely not my choice.
Well, it seems to me this spending $595 a month is peanuts. I mean, we saved an awful lot of money by not fixing up town hall, so I get what it is. At Citibank, we used to use Iron Mountain all the time. And yes, the same rules apply. They will retrieve it when you tell them the dates, box numbers, etc. So that process is not unusual.
No, it's not unusual, but, and if it has to be, it has to be. You do have to understand that, we get FOIL requests, we access these records a lot. I mean, when we were in the town hall and they were in the basement, I could go down that basement 2 or 3 times a day for things. So, I understand the situation we're in, and I do understand that, but I was hoping for something a little closer to home. I actually was hoping the town hall would have been done, but I'm going to make this recommendation to the town board, and I don't know, Mr. Garcia can look into it and talk to the insurance company or the board about this, but what about the remediation for downstairs as far as the redoing to redirect the water or whatever it's gonna be done downstairs, Polygon is still supposed to come in and do mold remediation in that building. Is it possible to have them come in and do the upstairs and do this heating and ventilation system and put the records upstairs and not in the basement? So I'm throwing that out there. Is that a possibility? I mean, this is just a topic for discussion, something for the board to look at and look into, and, you know, if it has to be in Iron Mountain, it has to be Iron Mountain. As the records management officer, I am hoping it is not, because as a records management officer, we like to have our records where we can access them.
Sure,
Okay.
the ground floor of Town Hall would be available while the basement is being worked on. So maybe that's possible to set up a
Well, I would
controlled
like it
area.
if maybe we could look into that, because regardless, no matter
Absolutely.
what, that upstairs has to be done also. So is it possible to have that done and have the heating and the air conditioning systems cleaned? Because Polygon is supposed to come in and do the mold remediation for upstairs also.
Mary Ellen, if I remember correctly there, because it's two floors on one system, that the way it works is that you would just be recirculating the air from the bottom to the top to the bottom, and therefore whatever problems there are down in the basement, you would be bringing them up to the top. That's what the engineer had told us. But if it's something where the parameters are within a level of acceptability, and we can get a consultation on that they're within the prescribed parameters. Remember, this is not something which is regulated by New York State in terms of toxicity with the different forms of mold spores, but something which is regulated as an industry basis in New York State and elsewhere. So you don't have the state telling you what safe parameters are. So you've got to go with your gut feeling, or you go with what the trade prescribes.
Okay. So would the board be willing to allow me to this week and have it ready for Monday, just to look at maybe some possibilities of somewhere locally that we could put the records till we figure out
Yeah, that's
what
reasonable.
we're doing, as long as it's not expensive, you know, really expensive, and that it has the proper climate controls, you know, to protect the records after all this work has been done. I really would like to try to keep them as close to home as we can, so we can access them. You know, I do understand the Iron Mountain thing, but, so.
That's the logical first step, Mary Ellen. I would go along with that.
So if the board's over, I'll just see if I can find some places and maybe get some prices.
I have, well, that would be my suggestion, if we have storage room here in the theaters.
Okay. Mary Ellen, are we done?
I'm done on that.
Okay. We have a library referendum. This is for the proposition to increase the town board budgetary allocation for the Monroe Free Library. The contribution of the town of Monroe for the operating budget shall be increased by $30,000 to the sum of $1,264,325 annually. We need a motion for that. Seeing that there's no motion, we're going to move on to the next.
Wait a second, we've got that on the agenda, might as well look at it, right?
All this is the proposition for the library to be allowed to put this out to vote to the public on the November ballot. This is not something that comes out of the town budget. This
We're
is,
not making a financial decision here.
No.
We're just allowing a citizen to put this on the budget so that people can vote on it on November the 3rd. And they would increase their budget by $30,000 to the sum of $1,264,325.
every year this comes before the board, the library has to get enough signatures to be able to put this referendum on the ballot. They present them to me. I verify that I then present it to the town board, and all, by law, the town board just has to have approve or disapprove for this to be put on the ballot.
Peter, is there any way we can tell whether they're within the state guidelines? Increase year over year?
Yeah, I think since they're a special district, I'm not certain that they're subject to tax cap. It's a good question.
Do we want to hold this over until Monday?
Yeah, let's get a little more information on it. Mary Ellen, you're our expert on elections. Is there a cutoff date?
I would ask that you don't go past next Monday, because this has to get to the Board of Elections in time for them to put this on the ballot. So there is, just please know by Monday.
All right, so 28th is fine for me.
Okay.
To answer your question, Dennis, this looks like it's like a 2.4% increase over last year. And the town right now is looking at the tax cap calculation for the town of Monroe. We're allowed an increase of 1.32. If that helps.
Well, I don't feel any better about it, but at least the public could be aware whether they're going to make
Sure.
a tax cap or not.
Yes.
I think we should probably ask the library if they are governed by the same tax cap rulings that we are. I thought special districts were covered, but I may be wrong.
Well, I know that like water and sewer districts are not.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm not certain about the fire district either.
Well, it'll be up to the voters.
And ultimately.
Well, I think and you hit the nail on the head. That's exactly the way the law was written for some of these things, is that for some special districts, because it goes out to vote, if the voters vote for it, then, it's allowed. And if
Yeah.
they don't, it's not.
So ultimately, the voter will decide.
Trying to give the voter more information than
Yeah.
$30,000. Okay, that's it.
We have a request for Bridget Flynn and Helen Knickerbocker to attend the seminar for retirements in the village of Washingtonville on October 9th. And as I'm looking at this is,
I'll make the motion.
It's the state.
That we authorize Bridget Flynn and Helen Knickerbocker to attend a seminar for retirement on October 9th at the village of Washingtonville at a cost not to exceed $250.
it's really even less. It's right around the corner.
Yeah.
It's
11 miles away and whatever. I just put the not to exceed on it in case there was any kind of payment. That's my motion.
Second.
Call the question.
Aye.
There's an approval from the Highway Department to release $2,800 FEMA funds to be released for the project at Terry Drive. The supervisor is here, so he can discuss this in greater detail.
We'll start with a motion.
Oh, make a motion, I'm sorry.
Okay, I'll make it. I move that the town, that we release $2,800 from Irene FEMA funds for the project being done by the Highway Department at Terry Drive.
Second.
For discussion, supervisor?
No discussion. It's just the savings in comparison to hiring a contractor to do it is somewhere around the cost of $15,000 doing it from highway. So we saved there, and we can apply FEMA funds to other FEMA projects. The only thing I need is an accounting of FEMA, to see what we have left in the balance. To see what balance is left.
Could you tell us a little bit about the project
Yes.
itself? So we know what
Project. The original outlay of the drainage system there, which drains down from two different districts, into a pond. Originally had an 18-inch pipe. The water would flow over the pond, fill up the pond area, and then go across the road. We increased the size of the pipe to 30-inch to alleviate this problem, and this way residents in that area do not get flooded. That carries the water down along Monroe into another retention pond, which is another issue, which overflows also and across some of the residents' property.
So we're going to solve the first retention pond issue and create a bigger mess in the second retention pond issue.
All the mess in the second one, it's there already. It's been there for, well, approximately 20 years.
Oh, we're just going to make it worse.
That's correct.
Oh, okay, got it.
But the pipe at Terry Drive had to be replaced. It was rotted and collapsed. And it wasn't large enough to begin with.
And what's your potential solution for fixing the retention
Well-
pond at the lower level of Monroe?
The retention pond, I do not know who put it in, if Highway put it in or a private contractor put it in. This has been a discussion for approximately 15 years to put piping, large enough piping to drain that pond into a lower stream bed which goes into Round Lake.
Okay.
Sounds to me as if the downside of this project is worse than what it's going to solve. Can we have?
Townside?
I'm sorry?
The problem is there's no drain piping go into the second retention pond from the second retention pond.
That part I'm getting.
Right.
How can we fix the second retention pond?
Put in 30-inch pipe in the ground.
Can we have the engineer take a look at that? and give
Engineer
us
looked at it
a-
twice already.
Can he give us a proposal as to what it would cost to fix?
I would imagine so. I can call the engineer. He looked at it, looked at the problem.
I don't see this as any kind of longer-term solution. As long as we're going to be digging pipes and ripping up the road and ripping up the
No, there's no
shoulder,
road involved here.
Can we take a look at it? Have the engineer take a look?
It's been looked at several times. If you like another, no problem.
Has he documented anything to us? Can you
Yes, he
resurrect
has.
that? Okay, good. Save us some money. Get this documentation. I'd like to see it.
That's correct.
In the meantime,
In the meantime,
if you wanted an accounting of the FEMA, of the money that's in the FEMA reserve fund still, we currently have $150,000 in funds that were collected from the federal government, and I believe there are still some state government funds that may be yet coming our way. The reason that this money is held is that should we not complete the projects that we signed on to do with FEMA, FEMA can come in here and take the money back. So we have to be very careful that we keep good track of it so that we aren't faced with a large bill. when-
And this is a FEMA project.
This, that's how it
Yes,
was
correct.
presented to me, yes.
Just for this $2,800.
That's what they approved for that particular piece of work, right?
27,000.
what?
27.
27,000.
At 2,800.
And this is the last piece of work that can be applied to these FEMA funds for Irene?
No, there's more projects. We're going as fast as we can with the manpower we have. And we're contracting out some jobs.
Any further discussion?
Over my head.
Call the question?
No.
No. Highway authorized 2 part-time seasonal workers. Start date 10/13/15 to end 11/20/15. Rate pay at $14 an hour, not to exceed 20 hours.
That's for leaf pickup.
20 hours a week.
Right. Start date, authorized 2 part-time seasonal highway brush and weeds, starting October 13th, ending November 20th, at a pay rate of $14 an hour. not to exceed 20.
I have a question for that. We really tried it with 2 men last year, and it really isn't enough. We're trying,
However, in all fairness, this was your request for 2 men.
that's all my budget allowed.
Peter,
Right.
This is for brush and weeds.
yeah,
Brush and weeds is, the DA fund is a real problem child, because the DA fund is where all the salt was spent. So there's really very little cash floating around there. As a matter of fact, mostly what there is money owed to the DA fund. So, part-time seasonal, it was budgeted at $4,763. I'm sorry, at $5,600 was the budget originally.
As long as we're on the subject of seasonal help,
we're on this subject right now. We have a motion. Is there any
We
further?
need a motion.
We need a motion for it. There's no motion, that's, we're going to hold this
Well,
over
wait,
to...
well, let's discuss this at least. I'll make a motion that we authorize 2 part-time seasonal workers for highway for brush and weeds. Start date 10/13/15 to end date 11/20/15 at the pay rate of $14 per hour, not to exceed 20 hours a week per worker. So that's the motion.
We need a second for discussion.
Second.
Daniel?
Peter, are you saying that there
Right.
isn't any money for
No,
this?
no. I said the budget for this is $5,600,
Uh-huh.
of which there's $4,700 left. We spent $836.50. So this line, part-time seasonal brush and weeds, has a balance of $4,763.50. Okay?
Yeah.
The cash that's in the cash in the DA fund is, there's $250,000 in the DA fund currently, but the DA fund also owes $360,000 to the A fund, so.
my comment is that I don't want to repeat this year's leaf pickup that happened last year. There was many leaves left over because we didn't have the manpower to pick it up.
That's true.
This board, a few years ago, it looked at the highway, looked at core and peak, and got away from peak, stuck with core, and the principle behind that was that this core of workers would handle whatever work has to be done. But when you had times like leaf pickup and brush cutting or snow removal, then we would bring people in, and we're bringing them in at like $14 an hour, part-time with no benefits. So this is a financial boon to the highway operations. And I think if we committed ourselves to peak core, when this comes up, we should commit ourselves to it and pay it, hire them, get that work done. And that's my opinion.
Mr. Mc-
Quick math on this, it's about 40 hours a week for 2 employees, $14 an hour, it's about $560 a week. This looks like it's going to go for about 6 weeks if we keep a lid on it, which is approximately $3,400,
Which we
not to exceed.
You got to factor in just Social Security, a couple of other things, so. we need to make it
Well,
more.
But they're part-time.
Yeah, Social Security. Social Security and Medicare.
Social Security, Medicare, and MTA.
It's-
Yeah, thank you, MTA. So you
Okay,
think
so
6
so
weeks?
you are talking, it'll be less than what you've got in budget. This needs to be managed.
Is it not to
We've got
exceed
to- we've got to
$4,000?
pay.
Are we comfortable with $4,000 then as the ceiling?
Yes.
Can you monitor, you'll be able to monitor that?
Well,
No, well.
it has to be managed by the highway department, but
Well, let me
they're,
put it this way, The lid has to be the budgeted amount, but it would be really great if you could do it for less.
That's impossible. And the reason why I say that, because all our residents know that there was piles of leaves there in the springtime.
The residents, after you make your first pickup, everybody then throws their leaves out again and requires that you make a second pickup.
That's not true.
Maybe we need to have some kind of a law. Well, we passed a resolution a couple weeks ago saying people should have their own composting pots. So maybe once you get a pickup, you don't get another pickup. How's that work out?
We didn't, those are single pickups we're speaking about, not double. There wasn't enough time. Don't forget, we're on its FEMA projects. Don't forget, we're on road repairs, on road sinkholes that we have to repair. 60, 70-year-old piping has to be repaired. And you want highway to go out and pick up leaves at the same time in a timely fashion? Can't be done.
I thought we were talking about part-timers.
That's where the part-timers are being used, in leaves. 2 part-timers you agree on, fine, thank you. It's not enough.
Okay.
Call the question.
We only have 2 part-timers that are going to be, no one else is going to be picking up leaves this year?
2 we only for 1 run crew. Don't forget, we have to be out there with flaggers on certain highly traveled roads. I can't put my men at risk in order to pick these up.
So there are workers other than the 2 that will be doing this, is that correct?
Absolutely. Right now, we have 1 retired, so we have a total of 6 highway workers for the entire town of Monroe. And we also have 3 mechanics which do snow plowing as well. And that's a far cry from the 14 that highway used to have.
Call it. Is there any further discussion?
Well, just that this is the way we plan to handle this item in our overall look at Highway Department, and I think we should continue with it.
I think you should reevaluate it.
Right now, we have a motion for 2 part-time workers at $14 an hour, not to exceed $4,000, beginning on 10/13, ending on 11/20. Dennis, are you comfortable with that motion?
Not to exceed the,
Not to exceed 4,000.
5,600.
Not to exceed $3,600.
5,600, that's okay.
Now,
Well, actually, the $836 has already been spent. So there's $4,700 balance right now in that line.
Okay, so not to exceed 4,700.
Right. Without, if it needs to go more than that, then highway superintendent will revisit it.
Has to revisit.
And change the budget lines.
At the $14 an hour, for 6 weeks, the $4,700 would have done like 2.8 people, so 2
Okay.
people's
So
adequate.
we got a
funding.
margin there, okay, all right. So but I'll add the cap of 4,700 to my motion.
Gentlemen, call the question then?
Aye.
Aye. We have a proposed local law 1 of 2015 to rescind the local law 3, number 3 of 2014 to override the tax levy. Peter, could you explain this?
Yes, I can. After we get the tax cap, and then Albany said, well, you know, you've got the tax cap, it's supposed to be a 2% tax cap, but, you know, you should have a local law to override the tax cap just to protect yourself in case something happens like the tax certioraries come in from the county and they get added on, and the actual tax rate that you charge goes higher than what you thought it was, and you thought you were under the tax cap, and now all of a sudden you're over the tax cap, then you got a penalty. And they were very aggressive in what they did with these penalties, and with if you had a penalty, the amount of money that you were penalized by had to be put away in a fund and couldn't be spent that year, and it was all this went on. So we did this for 4 years, and in Monroe we've been very fortunate because we've been able to stay underneath the tax cap comfortably up until this year. And that was going along pretty well. And then Albany decided, well, now we're going to have a tax freeze. So not only are you going to be subject to a tax cap limit, but you're going to have a tax freeze, and if you don't satisfy the tax freeze, we won't give your residents a rebate on what they paid in property taxes year over year. And by the way, if you had a local law to override the tax cap, you have to rescind that local law in order to be able to have your residents eligible to get the refund. So we were a little bit behind, along with 100 other towns out of the 960 municipalities in the state. And Albany's decided now that they gave us an extension on getting this repealed and filed so that we can get these rebates. And for a lot of people in this room, the rebate's probably something like about $4, because that's how much the tax rate bill went up on the average house in the town of Monroe. So we're responding to Albany. We have to rescind the tax cap legislation from last year in order to be able to have our residents eligible to get whatever rebate is going to come their way for the 2015 taxes. Is that helpful?
Yeah, so you say it's a no-brainer, huh?
Well, it's not, I mean, it's like, what are the choices?
Gentlemen,
We need a motion?
we need a motion for that?
You need a motion to have a public hearing for the local law, right?
Oh, my goodness.
Need a motion to have a public hearing?
I'll make a motion that we hold a public hearing on proposed local law 1 of 2015 to rescind local law number 3 of 2014, which overrides the tax cap limit.
When could you?
And we'll have before it, so let's hash that out and I'll put that in the motion.
Do we have enough time to do that for Monday?
No, for Monday.
Mr. Burke said there was going to be, because they were talking to the
It's got to be the first meeting in October. There's not enough time for the legal notice to be legally done.
What date is that, Mary Ellen?
October 1st is a Tuesday.
October 5th.
Okay, make it for October 5th?
Setting that hearing for October the 5th at 7 p.m. We have a second.
Any discussion? Call the question?
Aye.
We have a request to approve parkland fee deferred payment agreement. However, I think we're going to table this. We just received, council, you had sent us, again this afternoon, from Mike Donnelly, some follow-up paperwork.
That's
from both
right.
you and his office.
That's right. He was on this, on the planning board side of it, and I think that we need to discuss this attorney-client.
Right. What essentially this is a request, I think it's called Smith Farm Development. I'm reading from just pretty much a boilerplate paragraph. Town Planning Board has determined, based on present and anticipated future needs for park and recreational facilities in the town as calculated from the projected population growth to which the subdivision will contribute, that parklands should be created as a condition of approval of this subdivision. However, because parks of size adequate to meet the town's requirements cannot be properly located on the subdivision plat, the planning board, pursuant to subdivision regulations of the town of Monroe, section 27, subsection 4 of the town law of the state of New York, requires the applicant to deliver payment by cashier's check to the town of Monroe in the sum as described. I believe it's 67 units altogether. However, I think their attorney is asking for it being split up on some kind of a deferred payment agreement, and that is
Correct.
something which I think the town needs time to review with council as well as amongst themselves.
And perhaps with the engineer as well.
Okay? That being said, if you, unless the town has an objection, unless the board members has an objection, we can table that. We'll move that forward.
This is the second request from this attorney to defer fees, just in case you all want to know. You want to defer $3.1 million in the 164 acres as well. But that's okay, we'll talk about it.
I have a comment to the board as far as manpower is concerned. As
Mr.
of,
Rizzo, if you can hold off, we'll
Oh,
just
sure.
let's get through this.
Follow the agenda.
I don't have a copy.
We have an education request from the building department to attend, Susan Salo to attend a building officials conference not to exceed $200. It would be in the budget.
So moved?
Second.
Any discussion? Call the question.
Aye.
Aye. The next one is a approve Mark Edsel to review property at 16 Lakes Region Boulevard not to exceed $3,000. I do not have any documents attached to this, so I'm going to request that we hold off until Monday. My apologies. This is we don't have the backup information for it. That being said, okay, we have privilege of the floor. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Rizzo, you want to say something?
Yeah, I was talking to a comptroller, and the part-time issue for personnel, right now, we have $0 for this winter for part-time people. We need approximately 6 part-time people to operate our snowplow operations. And as of right now, there will be no, according to my budget, no money to have the part-timers come in and assist the full-timers into snow plowing, which leaves us at a great disadvantage if you're considering the KJ contract.
Are you going to make a request? If you can do that in writing,
Yes, I will make a request
Ms.
for,
Morgan, address it at the next meeting.
yeah, that's why we were waiting for the KJ contract to see what's in it, so it can be discussed, to see if we can, hire at least 6 on-call part-time people. And we really should have a pool of 10 to do this.
Okay. Moving on to the privilege of the floor, is there anything else?
No.
Comptroller, anyone else from the board? That being said, we're going to move to the privilege of the floor, public comment. This is an opportunity for members of the public to raise concerns before the board that are on the agenda. As a courtesy to everyone who would like to address the town board, each person is asked to keep his or her comments to 3 minutes. If more than one person wants to speak on the same subject, it is requested that a spokesperson be appointed. Public comment is limited to Monroe residents or property owners only. The public comment period will be a maximum of 60 minutes. Generally, the board does not take any action on matters raised during this time, but will send the matters over into the next meeting if applicable. Agenda items should be in writing and sent to the town supervisor office 2 weeks prior to the request to the date of the town board meetings. If you can, Daniel, do you want to keep the 3 minutes? All
I have the time, Harley.
right, fine.
This embodied voice will do it for us.
Again, this is a chance for, please make your comments as tight and as cogent as possible. We appreciate everyone's presence here. Just let the record show that Councilman McQuaid, Councilman Colon are not in attendance. I'm sure that they look forward to hearing your comments and will respond accordingly when they're here. The first speaker is
Mike Goldstein?
Here comes the mic, the other mic.
Mike's Mike.
On down.
Oh, yeah, it's like,
Mike Goldstein, resident of the town and village. I would like to correct what I consider is an erroneous interpretation used in rationalizing why the smaller annexation corrects a historical error. The so-called fingers represent properties which were owned by individuals that had no desire to be included in the original formation of the village of Curious Joel. I know this is a fact. I was one of those property owners who lived on Seven Springs Road. The driving reason the village was created was because the members of the Satmar community that started to buy properties in Monroe could not live with the existing town zoning laws. Modest-sized homes were being illegally converted to multifamily. Business ventures were being started in the same area, which was not permitted by the code. Septic tanks, which were designed for moderate-sized families on Seven Springs Road, where I live, were constantly overflowing. The town building inspector was kept busy issuing stop work orders and violations for the conversions that were being made. Today is not much different. Curious Joel has exhausted the land within their borders. In order to continue to grow, they cannot live with the town of Monroe building codes. It worked for them in the first annexation. There was only 40 homeowners at Fourth then. So why not use the tactics to avoid the same tactics to avoid the building codes they abhor? The major difference this time is that the people are more aware of what is happening. This annexation affects all of the citizens of Orange County and probably New York State. The fingers actually made a political statement. You cannot do whatever you want in the town of Monroe, unless, of course, the town board says you can.
Roy Kalmus?
Thank you. What I really want to say is that a town board is elected. They're supposed to have certain skills. People skills, communication skills, management skills, financial skills, and high ethical standards. As a board, you guys get an F in every possible way. Your treatment of the people in the town of Monroe is disgraceful. Having that vote in KJ where you can't even park was disgraceful. The whole setup there was disgraceful. You constantly interrupt people. Mr. Doles, tonight you haven't done it, but you're always on the phone at these meetings. That is very rude. As far as management skills, you guys are arguing over a $4,700 budget, but $350,000 to fight for these lawsuits, nothing. Your financial skills are disgraceful. Again, worrying about $4,700, you've put $2 million into this theater. And as far as ethics go, look at your planning board. You have girlfriends and wives of members on the board. That is a conflict of interest. And even if they don't even discuss it, perception counts just as much. We now have a situation where 8 or more municipalities and the county of Orange is fighting this annexation. And on top of that, your pals at KJ are suing the town of Monroe for 507 acres. $350,000 is going to be a drop in the bucket. It's going to cost a couple of $1 million. I hope you're very proud of yourselves.
Michael Egan?
Thank you. I just have a series of questions, so perhaps when we finish you'll answer some or all of them. So my first question is, how much have you spent to date on attorney's fees arising from the annexations? How much money have you spent so far? Number 2 is explain how much and why you're about to spend what sounded like thousands of dollars on public relations or advertising to defend your vote to give the KJ developers 164 acres of town of Monroe land. You have a platform here, you use this bully pulpit repeatedly, you write letters to the papers, and why you have to spend more of the taxpayers' money rationalizing what you did is beyond me, and I'd like an explanation. Please state how much money you've allocated or spent in 2015. Peter, this is for you, from the famous fund balance. Seems like a lot of money's gone there, and I would like to know what you started with and what we have after you take out what you spent and what you've allocated to spend. And then my last is, your theater here has been open to the public for 4 months, maybe a little longer, and it's long past due when you should have provided the citizens who pay for all this and your salaries a P&L that shows what's going on. That's been discussed here numerous times, and yet we don't have it. A reasonable person can only conclude that you're hiding it because it would show a loss. And my expectation is that loss will be at least in the neighborhood of the $500,000 a year that was discussed about 6 or 8 months ago. I would love to be wrong on that, but the longer you withhold the information, the more it seems that it's probably what's going on. So my simple question is, when will you provide a P&L? Thank you.
Carol Farrar. Carol Farrar, Village and Town of Monroe. My question kind of duplicates my vegan in that, how do you explain that so many municipalities and the County of Orange feel the annexation is detrimental, yet our own town board feels that it is positive? I realize that a few of you were put in power through the votes of Curious Joel. However, any civics course would teach you that when a person is put in leadership positions, such as the president or a mayor, they have to represent everybody that they are leading. The president has to deal with everybody in a country, not just the people who voted for him. I don't see that happening here. And my second thing is, last spring, you crucified the highway superintendent for going over budget for salt when we were in a terrible, terrible winter. So now he's telling you he can't meet a budget requirement, and you slough it off like it's nothing. He's got no money for the snow removal. He has 2 people for leaf pickup, and you ignore it, and then what will happen next spring? You'll be crucifying. He won't be here. You'll still be crucifying him. To me, it's a poor way to do business. Find the money. You found the money for this debacle. Find the money for snow removal and leaf pickup.
Sir, you're ejected.
No, I'm not. Show the letter of the Show the letter of respect.
Escort him out. We're looking for information, escort him out. Escort him out. We had tried to set ground rules. We're going to enforce them.
Show respect to the lady.
Sir, you are now escorted out, please.
Citizens talking and you're
Sir,
on the computer.
I'm sorry.
No.
We're looking for information. Sir, again, there's one warning, that's all.
Violating his constitutional rights. This is a violation of a constitutional right. Somebody here.
Don't leave. Sue Harley. No. Don't touch him. Not touch him.
We need a motion for it.
Motion. Are
you want to take a break again for recess?
Come on. Yeah.
What are constitutional rights are you violating? Yeah, you always got it violating.
The voice of the people have spoken. Thank you.
need a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion that we take a short adjournment until the audience situation is
What
resolved.
audience?
You're racist.
Responsibility. Until the audience goes away.
Aye.
No, it's a two-semester program.
Gentlemen, gentlemen, if you could have a seat, please.
Wait for Diane, I don't blame her.
You know, shouldn't we be calling out this one? I'll just go right
Ladies and gentlemen, the time is 9:09. We're returning to the public session. The town board wants and encourages public comment. However, it has to be done within in a certain context. We cannot have people calling out. We cannot have disruption as we're trying to do the people's business. Unfortunately, we do not have, as many of you know, we do not have enforcement abilities like the villages have, like most communities have, most towns have throughout Orange County and throughout the state. It is a vulnerability that we have because we do not have officers with any kind of enforcement authority. As a result, we can ask you to curb your emotion. We can ask you politely to leave. We can try to vigorously ask you to go. But there's nothing that we can do at the end of the day to make it happen. As a result, we asked the gentleman to leave. He refused. And therefore, if he does, we'll continue with public session. If not, then I'll make a motion to adjourn to attorney-client to discuss the issues that we need to discuss. And we'll come back and we'll try to resume thereafter the rest of the public privilege of the floor. We'll work it that way. If not, then we'll make a motion right now, sir. Again, if you want to, again, the board is asking you that you leave. We appreciate, but if not, we understand that we cannot do anything other than call the village or call the state police. It is something which we don't want to do.
Oh my, then don't do it.
We're not going to do it.
Oh my God. Oh my
And therefore,
goodness.
what we're going to do is we'll make a motion to go into executive.
You know what? You're ridiculous. You are the most ridiculous.
To discuss the following. Water District 14, well properties, Village of Monroe correspondence regarding certain litigation matters, a town court staffing issues. We need a solicitation for an ad in town of Monroe. We have a Smith Clove Park employment issue, the KJ Highway contract, as well as a dial-a-bus employee requesting a leave of absence. We need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
We need a second.
Second. No more privileges.
Call the question. I will be returning, and hopefully we'll be able to continue with the privilege of the floor. Thank you very much.